Yeah. Oh, you don't want to see how dirty my fucking windshield is. I need to clean my windshield. Welcome aboard. I forgot to grab a water for the trip. Oh well. I'm not going to dehydrate. I drank 3 cups of water this morning. I do need to set that chat filter to all messages because fucking YouTube, they like to just have censorship as a what's the word? Hey, welcome. What's going on? On my way to work. Yeah, I'm on my way to the tire shop because I got a screw in my tire and I had to change it flat. How you doing today? Ahnaz XD. Man with the wrench. Hey, I want to remind you, don't be censoring anybody for the content of their speech. I had to take away a wrench from somebody that came in there the other day and just deleted somebody for no apparent reason. And I was like, yeah, that's it. I like giving the wrench out to people so that you can kind of see the channels of other people in the chat. And every time I give the wrench, I ask people, don't censor anybody for anything other than spam. And let me do it if the chat's not moving fast. But if the chat's moving fast, then, please go ahead and cut spam out. But don't censor people for the content of their speech. Yeah, I know you're not that guy because you still got the wrench. I had to take a couple minutes out and figure out how to take the wrench away from somebody before that wasn't even commenting. They didn't even comment on the stream. They just freaking deleted them. And I was like, no, that shit's got to go. But at least it tells me when somebody's been censored or something. And I got to get on the computer because from what I understand, you can go through the URL site, access your YouTube channel, and there will be a list of users that are blocked. And I want to go through and see. It might even be on YouTube Studio. I'm not sure. But I want to make sure that the only people that are blocked are people that did spam, because I don't block people. I don't want anyone blocked from my channel other than spam. That's it. But you know that. I've already told you that, but I want to kind of reinstate that or reaffirm that because there's too much censorship on YouTube already. Yeah, I ran into a guy. I did a live stream on my other channel last night and had a guy coming in that had learned the truth about NASA being, full of lies and the whole thing with the moon landing. And he gave his heart over to believe the flat earth, which I thought was, I can see how people that are uneducated can believe the earth is flat. But there are observational experiments that have been done that prove the curvature of the earth, so, but yeah, and then, so we got into we talked on the phone, and we got into kind of a heated discussion over it. He was more heated than I was. I was just going on, sharing what I knew, and he kept cutting me off. And he apologized, but he kept doing it. I was like, okay, I see where this is going. When you cut somebody off mid-sentence, then you don't want to hear what they have to say. You only want to be heard. But I listened to him. And, I'm not the type of person that's going to automatically dismiss information that goes against what I've learned or what I believe, because we've all been deceived in one thing or another. And there's a lot of deception in this world. So I think it's very, for anyone that has a love for the truth, it's very wise to go and critically analyze all information, whatever comes against what we believe, what we want to believe, or what had been taught, kind of important, because Jesus said, first thing he said before he began to expound on the signs to look for the time of his returning and the end of the world was, take heed unto yourselves that no man deceive you. And in these last days, as he said, there are many that are coming in his name, and they are deceiving many. Yes, it's possible that the world is flat because gravity would crush it. Well, that depends on what gravity is, too. He did bring up some interesting points. Like I said, I'm not going to dismiss somebody because they have one thing wrong, but they may have other things that they've learned is true. But one thing I've learned is true is that we're being lied to about gravity. We are told that gravity is the attraction of matter to mass. And the larger the mass, the larger the attraction. And that is not what's observable. He brought up a point that, gravity is the density of the matter. If it's lighter than air, it floats. It ascends. If it's denser, it falls. Which, there may be some. I know there's something to that, but there also has to do with molecules and heat. Because, you could fill up a balloon with air, what comes out of your lungs, CO2, and it will fall to the ground. But CO2 is light enough to where it actually is, most of the CO2 is in the upper layers of the atmosphere. I don't know if you're into sciences or not, but I love sciences. I love learning what's observational, and that's done through experimentation and studies and testings. That's what I love, to find out what the truth is. But anyway, back to the whole gravity thing. Yeah, and so we don't really know what gravity is. We can only theorize or hypothesize based upon what's observable, but as soon as it gets tested, there's another thing about a hypothesis. It has to be something that is measurable, something that's observable, and in order for it to become a valid theory, it has to be disprovable. So if you can't measure it, it's not a scientific hypothesis. If you can't observe it, it's not a scientific hypothesis. And if you can't reproduce it, and to either prove or disprove it, it's not a hypothesis, and it's definitely not a scientific theory. There's layers, of scientific hypothesis and theories, and in order for it to be a valid theory, it has to be observational, measurable, reproducible, and disprovable. And if it's not disproven through experimentation and studies and measurements, then it can remain a theory, a valid theory. But we're told that evolution is like a fact almost. And evolution has been disproven by scientific observation so many times it's not even funny. It's like literally it's been disproven, so it doesn't even meet the standard of a hypothesis anymore. It's nothing more than a fairy tale, an imagination. Yeah, I love science too. Cool. And I believe what we were taught, that the Earth is spinning at 1,039 miles an hour on its axis at the equator, and that it's moving through space around the sun in an orbit at 66,600 miles an hour, and that the entire galaxy is moving aimlessly through space at 1.3 million miles an hour. That's what they tell us with the heliocentric model. I believe that. And I was very hesitant to even look into the flat Earth BS at the very beginning because I know the earth isn't flat. And I know, it's measurable and observational that the earth is curved. And so, the flat earth was basically brought forth by the CIA as a psychological operation. And you got to look at the fruit of the movement. First and foremost, it causes people to become ardent in their minds to not be persuaded with evidences contrary. And that's something different than having experienced something. Let me give you an example. I have met Jesus Christ. I am ardent in my mind that he is alive. There's nobody that could ever convince me otherwise, because I've met him and he's spoken to me and he has shown me many signs and things outside of my ability to either, think them in my head or, what do you call that? Hallucinate things. Like literally, I have asked God to bring a white-tailed deer into my yard when I hadn't seen one in about 5 years come into my yard. By the end of the song I was singing to him, he brought 2 white-tailed deer right up to the edge of my property, and one of them literally stepped 1 foot into the boundary of my property line. And I was like, I can't do that, and I've been actually delivered. So I know that's my point. I am ardently convinced that somebody that I met is alive. If you met, say, somebody at the store and you shook their hand and you spoke with them, you have met them. Nobody could ever tell you that person doesn't exist. If they persuaded you to believe that that person was a figment of your imagination, then you are in a really bad situation up here, because if you've met somebody, you've shaken their hand, you've spoken with them, they exist, right? And so but if somebody tells you that somebody exists which you've never met, or like say somebody tells you that the earth is flat, but you've never actually gone through the experimentation and observed these things yourself, you shouldn't be ardently fixed in your mind to believe what you've been told. And the scientific method has been abandoned by modern academia, scientific academia, because the scientific method is what disproves the bullshit that they're presenting to the people. The scientific method has disproven through evolution at its very foundation. It's a farce and a fairy tale. But this is what I tell people, because it's true. When you start searching into the power structure and the people that have the actual controls of currencies and monopolize entire industries, these people are not atheists. These people are associated with secret societies of esoteric nature. Basically, they practice ancient rituals and they do sacrifice unto devils. They're not atheists, and so I tell people evolution is the religion for the masses, but Luciferianism is the religion of the ruling class, because they serve Satan and they know they do. It's not, and so, but in order to keep the masses deceived, they have to have control of the information. So, the controls of the academia is under their power. And they removed the scientific method because as men began to advance in technology and advance in instrumentation and observations, it's been able to disprove their fairy tales that they want people to believe. So they have to deceive people by saying things like it's a proven fact, and then they go on to tell a story. Or experts agree, or, scientific publications, which are always subject to money. literally the people that are published now in scientific academia are only those that toe the line to what they call the best in the field model of the origin of life and the origin of all matter, and they go with the Big Bang. And if you don't go with the Big Bang, they've actually said the top scientists of the last century have said they cannot allow a divine foot in the door. So they refuse to acknowledge creation by God, a divine creator. And once you refuse that, even though all the evidence points at that, you're literally willfully deceived. Yeah, what is Freemasonry? Freemasonry, they like to call themselves bound and rejected, free and accepted Masons, but I call them bound and rejected Masons. The God they serve is not the Lord, it's the God of this world. And the Freemasons are a secret society. There's two tiers to them. There's the York Rite and the Scottish Rite. The York Rite is also called the Blue Line, and interesting correlation with the whole police thing, because most police officers, you can't get it high up into the police forces and departments unless you're a Freemason. And I've had one one county sheriff tell me that you can't get into the state police agency without being a Freemason. You can get into the lower departments without being a Freemason, but you'll never advance up. But anyway, it's a covenant witchcraft. The people in the Blue Line, the York Rite, don't really have a lot of knowledge of the higher levels of information that's shared. And they are an occult, which is secret knowledge revealed society, to where they have different levels that their inductees have to go through. In the Scottish Rite, where they get all the way up to 32-degree Masons, which become Shriners, and at each level during their degree they have to serve one of the ancient gods. And that's one of the things Albert Pike wrote in his book Morals and Dogma, who was like one of the most prominently known authors of Freemasonry. And he said that their goal was to revive the ancient Babylonian religions, the ancient Egyptian religions, the ancient Canaanite religions, the ancient Greek and the Roman. And so they're reviving all the worship of these gods, and that's what they have to do at each level, all the way up to the 32nd degree level. They have to spend that time at each level worshiping a different god. And anyone that's gone through and become a Shriner knows exactly what I'm talking about, because they've done that. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. Yes, it is. Faith is always found in what God said, though. That's another thing. It is faith not in anything, but faith in what God has said. And you just quoted from Hebrews chapter 11, and that is the very beginning of that chapter. And then as you read the entire chapter, you will see that every single one of the patriarchs of the faith that are mentioned, their faith was founded in what God said. By faith, Abel offered a better sacrifice, a more acceptable sacrifice. By faith, Noah built an ark because God said, build an ark. By faith, Abraham left his land. God said, Abraham, leave your land. By faith, Abraham offered his only son Isaac up because he knew that God was able to raise him up from the dead, because God had promised that he would bring forth a multitude of people through his son Isaac. So God, Abraham wasn't just believing some arbitrary thought. He was believing what God said. And faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. That's key. And faith is the substance of things hoped for, and it is the evidence of things unseen. Absolutely. What is under duress? So, the term under duress means that you're doing something without fully agreeing to it. And so anytime you sign a contract on paper and pen, on paper with pen, if you are being coerced to agree to this agreement or contract against your better judgment or against your full agreement, you can put down under duress after it to signify legally that you are doing this under duress, meaning you will not be able to gain certain services or certain liberties without signing this contract. And so you're not doing it with full consent, you're doing it under duress. That's what it means. And the reason I chose that name is because when we are online, we don't have a paper and a pen where we can click under, where we can write down under duress after. We only have the option to click I agree. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put that as my username, under duress, because I click to agree, but I don't really fully agree. That's why. A lot of people see my name and they have no idea what it means, or they'll make assumptions of what they think it means, as if I'm like, there's a policeman, police, hopo. I thought under duress was when I wore shorts instead of a suit. Under duress. Under the dress. Yeah, I've been under the dress a few times. I got 2 sons. Sparrow, your type of sheep we need in these parts. I love you. Type of sheep? You're alive under duress? No, man, don't say that. I'm sorry, I'm not being able to catch all the chats, but don't be under duress with life. Life is good. Life is great. There is so much in life to take in, so much to enjoy. The world in its systems, not the earth and its nature, but the world and the systems of the world can bring a man down. We are literally under oppression. I would have to say that many of us are in this world under duress, but don't attach that to your life, because your life is different than what the world restricts in your time. You know, the world systems, you know, but God has created all things very well. And, you know, I'm just going to do this because it's beautiful. You got the sun rising, and yes, the sun does rise, and the sun does set, and the earth stands still, but I'm pretty confident it's not flat. But look at this. You know, it's just beautiful nature alongside. I don't even like the road. I don't like man-made shit. I like to look at the skies. I like to look at the fields. I like to look at the woods, the ecosystems, the life that God has created in this world. Everything is full of life. Life is amazing. And in all of that greenery that is out there, God has provided food. God has provided medicine, because we are under the curse of sin. We literally are in this world under the curse of sin, which is death. And it is appointed unto man once to die, and then comes the judgment. And so death is certain, as is the word of God. However, there is a generation, which we are in right now, where there will be many that will not taste of death. Because when Jesus returns after the tribulation, with the sound of the trumpet, we which are alive and remain shall be caught up in the air to meet with him. We're going to put off these corruptible fleshly bodies, and we're going to put on an incorruptible body that will not be destroyed by the fire that he's returning with. He is returning with a great vengeance to finally put an end to this wicked and evil, God-forsaken world. And then he is going to reign upon the earth for 1,000 years. And he's going to rule with a rod of iron. And he's going to have the law of God will be the law of the earth. And it is going to be a monarchy, as we shall have a king, a righteous king, a good king. He will. Those that do righteousness shall flourish as a very fruitful vine. But those that do wicked shall be cut off immediately and quickly. There will still be sin during that 1,000 years. Isaiah speaks of it. John speaks of it in Revelations. I do believe Ezekiel speaks of it also. Yeah, Ezekiel speaks of it. Many of the prophets wrote of the coming time when the lion shall lie down with the wolf. The wolf shall lie down with the lamb. Yeah, that was something I had to look up with the whole, what do they call that thing? Mandela effect. And a lot of people that believe in the flat earth have fallen for the Mandela effect, which there's so many contradictions in those beliefs. I do apologize for not being able to read. If you can see in my rearview mirror, I've got a lot of traffic coming, and so I do have to pay attention to the roadway. You know, once I get off the road, if I have time, because I'm cutting it tight, but if I have time, I'll go through and read the chat, so bear with me if you will. Again, I apologize. I do appreciate that you take the time to type something in, and I don't want to be dismissive of that. I'm down though. Can we do white Adidas instead of Nike decades? I don't know what you mean. White Adidas instead of Nike decades. Does it say decades? Looks like decades. King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Don't read and drive. Yeah. Once it starts moving and I see more than 2 lines, it's like, shit, I can't. I hope I didn't just pass my turn. No. Okay, so I got the next exit is mine. Yeah, I might. I think what I'm going to do when I'm just going to try to hang on, and then what I'm doing is I got to go to a tire shop. I got to screw my tire. They're under warranty. The tire shop opens at 8 o'clock. It's 7:40 right now, so I got 20 minutes. But you got to get there earlier before they open to wait in line if you don't have an appointment. And I don't have an appointment because it happened Friday night. And I wasn't 100% sure that I'd be able to be there Monday morning, so I didn't make an appointment. But I got to be there hopefully 7:45, but that's not going to happen now. But I might be there like 10 to 8, so I'll have to get in line. But I'll take the phone with me when I get in line there, I think. I'll try. And that way I can read the chat. So, Adasa. Well, thanks. I hope you like it. We want to talk more at a time of stationary state. Yes, I'm going to be stationary real soon. That wording sounded like either you're a foreigner or you're a robot. We'll want to talk more at a time of stationary state. I hope you're a real person and you have a sense of humor, because I'm giving you shit. If you can comprehend. I'm guessing you're a foreigner. It sounded like, it reminded me of, I was on this Christian dating site, and there would be foreigners that come in there and they would try to have conversations with you, message you, and their grammar in English is not right, like there's something wrong. But there's always going to be a communication break between the languages as long as the systems of this world are in their way, the way they are. But I do look forward to the time of Jesus Christ's reign, because this world sucks. No one really knows what gravity is, but the earth does suck. I mean, the world sucks. The earth is awesome. One of the prophecies in Revelations chapter 13, if you read it, Revelation chapter 13, King James Version Bible, don't read any of the new ones. They're all bullshit. They've lied. They got Jesus lying. They got contradictions. The King James Version Bible is the only word-for-word translation from the original tongues that we have in the English language. But Revelation chapter 13 says, which kind of astonished me, is that the earth and the inhabitants thereof, whose names are not written in the book of life, are going to worship the image of the beast. The very earth is going to worship the image of the beast. That's an interesting statement right there. And that's something I don't fully comprehend. I have considered how technology has advanced so far that they're able to modify the weather. They're able to create earthquakes. They're able to create all sorts of natural anomalies that are, using nature, using the knowledge of the physical, material physics of nature down to the molecules, to be able to manipulate them to, I think that might be what the Bible speaks of, have the earth worship. Come on, people. Yeah, I'm gonna honk at somebody that's sitting at a fucking stoplight when we're supposed to be moving. Shit. And I gotta get behind the same person anyway. Yeah, it looks like 5 minutes, maybe 6, 7. I'm not going to be as early as you wanted to. I might only be 6 or 8 minutes early, so I'm going to be in line. That sucks. But the cool thing is, I'm not in a hurry after I leave here. But discount tire, the way it works, so I'm at a stoplight. Let me see. Don't read my BS and wreck. This is just chat. Shenanigans. Keep talking. Right on, dude. I'm doing what's safe. That's what I do, and now I'm stopped. I never noticed that. Until you brought it out. The earth and an inhabitants. I was only thinking the people. Yeah. I mean, I've read it. I probably read it 30 to 40 times before all of a sudden it was like, that's how God works. He gives you something. You may not catch it. But it's there, and it's there's another thing is, every word of God is pure, and every word is important, and that is one of the ways that we can escape deception in churchianity, by rightly dividing the words of truth. And that means reading every word, studying the words of God is very important, and rightly studying them in their context. And I have found that God's words are historically accurate. Hold on, I'm going to finish reading. I was only thinking the people, even though it is more. Yes, it is. But God's words are historically accurate. They are scientifically accurate. The earth is standing still. It is not moving. The sun is rising. The sun is setting. The moon is rising. When Joshua commanded that the sun stand still, it was in motion, and then it stood still. If the earth was spinning, there's another thing too. If you believe the heliocentric model, then you can't believe God's word, because in the heliocentric model, if the earth is spinning at 1,039 miles an hour at the equator and moving at 66,000 miles an hour around the sun, and the entire galaxy is traveling at 1.3 million miles an hour aimlessly, and then all of a sudden it stops abruptly. All that movement stops abruptly. All matter would just shatter with the amount of power and energy that would release at that instantaneous stop. So you can't, you cannot believe God and the heliocentric model. It's not possible unless you decide to believe that God doesn't mean what he says he said. That God means something other than what he said. And that's where people get deceived, is when they want to turn things into a metaphor. God makes statements that are absolute truth. And if you find something that's absolute truth and you try to turn it into a metaphor, you are departing from what God said. And I see a lot of people, and I've talked to a lot of people that just refuse to consider that their ideas of metaphors and allegories in the scriptures, which are not written in the scriptures, are actually a deception that either their own hearts are giving them, or devils are putting in suggestions. We're supposed to take every thought captive under Christ. But one thing I can say, among many things, because I'm not short on words, is God's words are a very solid foundation for all truth in this world and in the spirit, in the heavens. You know, God gives us a very good foundation, a very solid, and it is the stone that the builders rejected. Jesus Christ is the Word of God made flesh. He is that stone that the builders rejected, the foundation. And I thought about this too, is, you know, when a builder starts to make a building, they have to set a plan. They have to put forth blueprints and make a plan. And the key piece of the entire building structure is the cornerstone. And the cornerstone for a builder of this world, of the buildings in this world, has to be chiseled out to the delight of the builder, to their design, to what the builder wants to design. And when they come across oh wow, it looks like there's only one person in line. And so when they're looking for a stone, they're looking for something that they can work with. They're looking for something that they can move and change and chisel and fit into what they want for their building. And what they do when they come across a stone that doesn't fit, they reject it. They reject that stone. And guess what? God's words don't fit the buildings of men. God's words don't conform to what we want them to conform to. That's kind of one of the really awesome things about this. God's words do not conform to man's whims. So I just got here. I'm going to take a minute out. Sorry. Yeah, I don't need to do that. That's my truck. Got into a bad accident a little over a month ago. Lady went flew through a four-way stop and slammed into me. So now I'll be able to go through and read the chat. Again, I do apologize. How you doing, sir?
Come on, how are you?
Oh, I'm living the dream.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Got to get here early if you don't have an appointment. Do you have an appointment? Yeah, neither do I. That's why I was like, I got to get here before they open.
I just get in, but I can fit in, you know.
Right on. I'm Scott.
Greg.
Craig, good to meet you, Craig.
Nice to meet you too.
Craig's a solid name.
Yes, what we gotta do, man. Keep these cars on the road.
Yeah. It's worth it for the warranty. I got a spare on my front right driver's side,
Yeah.
And I got ran over a screw in the parking lot the other day. So I had to change the spare out.
Is it in the tread or is it in the sidewalk?
Tread.
Yeah.
I bought all these 2 years ago here with warranty, so it's covered.
Oh, you should be in and out.
Yeah, that's what I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll do the repair on it or if they'll just
They should.
or replace it. I don't know. I'm okay with either one, but we'll see.
I need a whole set for that from over there.
Mm. What are those, 15s?
Yeah. Original tires on it. Oh man. Well, no, not the original tires. Those tires are like, yeah, those are the original tires. Like 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm gonna guess that you're probably an easy driver on the road then.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys in the shop here years ago didn't believe me when I had just over 200,000 miles on one set of tires.
Really?
And they said, yeah, it's not possible. Because they only warranty them for 70, they're usually down less than half and all that.
Yeah.
And I said, go check your records, dude.
Yeah.
And they went on, the guy didn't believe me. He went on the computer and he's like, holy shit, these are the exact same tires that he bought, whatever it was. Not much. They were they were down. Not much, but I still had tread. I mean, they were probably 3 30 seconds or something,
Okay.
But it was time for a new set of tires.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible. Take care of them, and it all depends on where you drive too.
Yeah, that's it exactly. If you don't hit the gas really hard, if you don't, turn corners hard, it takes a lot. If you're braking hard.
Yeah, mostly if you drive on the highway.
Yep.
The city driving on these potholes and everything like that, and curbs and all that other kind of stuff. It's tight.
Right on. Yep. I save a ton of money. I wrote a song called "I'm a Speed Limit Driver" because I've learned that if you drive the speed limit or lower, you're not in a hurry anymore.
Yeah.
You're not you have a lot more reaction time for anything that comes up.
Yeah.
You can be a lot more aware of your surroundings, and you save money on brakes. You save money on tires. You save money on gas. You save money on insurance, accidents, tickets. Thousands a year. Thousands of dollars a year. Brakes, I only change my brakes about every 6 or 8 years.
Right.
Because I'm just not hard on them. When I see a light, I'm coming up to a light and it's red, I let off the gas until I usually try to make it up there green.
Yeah, some people, they see brake lights and they just hit the brakes.
And then
just letting off the gas.
Right. And then all that time they thought they were saving, they got to sit in the brake shop. While their brakes are being fixed, or the tire shop while their tires are being fixed or changed out. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to taking it easy on the road, and you're not, especially unless you're traveling across the country, you're really not going to make much time. I always see the same people at the light. It's like they're in a hurry to come to the light. I wish more people would actually pay attention and drive right. There'd be a lot less accidents. I got the whole side of my passenger side of my truck is smashed in because this lady blew through a 4-way stop just about a month ago and totaled it out. Right now, the damage is over $18,000, and the truck's only worth about 13. State Farm only wants to give me 7. Yeah. It's like to total it out. I've been paying them insurances over $100,000 in insurances for all of my insurances over the last 20-some years, and they want to give me $5,000, $4,500 less than what my truck's worth. It's like, how the hell am I going to replace that truck with that? I can't. No, and they don't care, and they're like, yeah, there's no negotiating it. So they get you coming and they get you going.
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, I was doing a live stream here. It looks like everybody left because I was talking, so. But that's